Today on this episode of Founder Closers, we're going to be talking to Jeremy. Jeremy has a really exciting story of a major career change in his career over the past couple of years. He's got a lot of goals for coming into 2026 with expansion around his marketing company, and we're going to dive deep into that. Jeremy, how's your day going?
It's going good. It's going good today. It's been I'm in North Carolina, so it's been a little colder than normal this time of the year, and but doing good.
I just got back in town from Virginia, and the whole time I was in Virginia, it snowed, I think, once or twice or at least twice while I was out there. It was freezing cold. I got back to Texas, and it wasn't much warmer, but it was 70 degrees yesterday, and it'll be 70 today. So back to the normalcy here in Texas. All right, so let's talk about it. Over the past couple of years, you decided to make a change in your career. What prompted that major decision to make that major shift?
Yeah, so I spent 20 some years in textile manufacturing, from plant manager, operations manager roles, large companies, small companies, everything in between. My longest stint was about 19 and a half years with a textile company, German textile company. But overall, I would say the last 2 years. So I was fired. First job I'd ever been fired from. So I got fired from a plant manager job. Honestly, I couldn't stand what I did for probably 4 or 5 years previous to this. But you're comfortable, you do it. It's the money's there, there's stability and all the above. So that's just what I was doing day in and day out. But when I got fired, I jumped back into manufacturing. 2 weeks later, I quit that one. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So my wife and I discussed, and she had a marketing agency that she had kind of started and worked on. She quit the manufacturing world 6 years before and jumped into entrepreneurship. So I jumped in with her. We said, okay, we're going all in, and that's how the shift changed. It was a roller coaster, still is, but that's how we completely provide for our family and everything. So it's all in. You hear people.
She had a background in marketing first, right? Sorry, I think my internet went out a little bit. So she had a background in marketing.
Yeah, there you go.
She had a background in marketing, correct?
She had a background in business analytics, so she was a business analyst, and that's how we met. But then she stopped, took all the courses, learned, taught herself marketing overall, and yes, so.
Gotcha. And how long was she doing marketing before you decided to join her in that venture?
She was doing that probably 4 years or so, but it wasn't, there was, we had a baby during that time and just a lot of other things. So it wasn't, yes, full time, but my income was really paying the bills and bringing it in. So it wasn't like, we need to make or break it type of thing,
Makes sense. But you saw the potential with what was there, that you knew maybe with the dual attention on this process, there was a real ability to scale it up, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't want, and that was the hardest thing for me, I think. And we all deal with things in our life, but the hardest thing for me was going from 20 some years in manufacturing. You wake up, you're at the office, you're doing all the things, you go home, a few hours later you go to bed, you wake up and you do it again, and it was so ingrained and wired in here. It honestly about drove me nuts when I didn't have to wake up and go to even though that's what I wanted, and it was really nice, really cool, and I could spend more time with my family, but it was really hard for me to get past that. And there are some days where I still kind of battle that mindset shift.
Yeah, I mean, look, us as guys, I'm sure that women have the same thing, but I know that us as guys, we have this innate responsibility internal, at least I can speak for myself in this, and maybe you agree here, which is to provide. And our career here in America, what I've noticed, is very different than a lot of other countries outside of America, where our career ultimately becomes part of our identity. It becomes a big part of our identity. And so for 20 years, you were a guy in a certain industry that did a certain thing, and there was a period where you were dispensable. And I'm sure that, like you, I've had a similar scenario where being fired in my career was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it reminded me something that I already knew, which was that I'm just another body to a business and I'm dispensable. No matter how well I did, no matter how long I did it, no matter how much value I brought, at the end of the day, I'm just a name on a sheet. And that was the kind of, for me, the final straw for me to step away from the corporate world and to go bet on myself. And it sounds like that was kind of the big final straw for you. And never fun to be fired. But it also sometimes is that slap in the face you need to kind of make a jump that you probably knew you needed to make before that. Had you ever thought of being an entrepreneur before this decision happened for you? Or was this a reaction, something you never had considered before this happened?
No, I've always wanted to do things, and funny, kind of funny, all the way back to high school. Kind of one of the first stories I can remember. We we were getting replica Oakleys and Rolexes and all your nice watches and glasses, and we go through high school with backpacks of these things, selling them for $10 a piece to everybody. So, I mean, it started early. I took marketing courses throughout high school. Definitely didn't even know the full structure of starting a business, but would always try to jump in and sell something and do something. And so the thought was there. And I would say after my wife started what she was doing, and kind of I saw, we could make this work. It's if I wouldn't have gotten fired, I don't know that I would have ever done it. So that's the smack in the face, because I was comfortable. And that job I got fired from actually was I was making more per year in that job than I had ever made in my life, in my career up to that point. So it was to a point, hey, I'm up here, and then bam, now I'm down here, and now what do I do? So I even had to get my own coach, and somebody just to that's kind of been through that situation to kind of help guide me through it, because it puts it's not easy, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. It's not easy, but the reward on the other side is wonderful. So
it's funny you say that it's not easy, because I think a lot of times people on the internet try to act like it's easy. They try to act like, oh, being an entrepreneur is like you only have to work 40 or like 10 hours a week, you make millions of dollars. No, I mean, every entrepreneur I know works harder as an entrepreneur than they ever did as an employee. And in a lot of cases, for most entrepreneurs, at least at the beginning, it's for less money. Now, you have no ceiling on you in that aspect. You can grow to become whatever you want to be, which is a beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, a beautiful thing about living in this great country that we live in, is that you can kind of help create your own destiny, and with hard work and enthusiasm, you can become what you want to be. But yeah, it's funny you say that, Jeremy, because I was in the same boat. I knew actually a similar boat near the end. My whole life, I went down the path of never considered being an entrepreneur, never being risky enough to do that. Luckily, I have a wife who believes in me, I would say more than I believed in myself at most parts of my professional career. And so when things like that happen and a company kind of did me wrong, she would be like, you don't need them, go do your own thing. And I had a history of building sales teams for a variety of companies, and my specialization is doing it from scratch for these companies. So utilizing no experience, no resources, and building really, really strong, large sales teams from scratch. She was like, you keep doing it for all these companies. Why don't you just go do it for yourself? And eventually I did. And you never look back since then. So help the audience understand, Jeremy, what exactly do you guys do today? Kind of define to me what it is you guys do.
Yeah. And that's so overall, we're a full service marketing team. So anything from your web pages to your meta ads to SEO, just your normal stuff in the online marketing world. But what makes us unique is, with my 20 some years of leadership experience in the manufacturing corporate world, We have been able to utilize my skill set. So we have two branches, right? One, my wife was a coach for a while, online coach for a while. So she has a pretty big audience of coaches. Um, she has completely mastered the whole coaches, master classes, launching just that whole process. So we work directly with coaches, but then also for service industries and small businesses. So whether it be your plumbers, your roofers, your local car wash, whatever it may be. Um, but what makes that side of the business so unique is we created a growth partnership. So what that growth partnership does, it pretty much is on a monthly retainer, but it is we do your marketing. But with my experience, we also do your back end. We do your online business ops if you need it. We do the automations, the SOPs, whatever you need. So we've been able to combine the marketing and business fronts together to create a really unique position in the market we're in.
Okay. Is like, so the primary thing that you and your wife focus on is with other coaches, correct? Any specific industry or any type of coaches?
Coaches right now that are some of our bigger clients, health coaches. Got health coaches. We got a lot of holistic type healing coaches. There's business coaches. So it's just kind of it's not necessarily specific to one industry or coach. I know there's a lot of life coaches out there, but it's pretty much what are you if you're looking to help other people in some type of way and you're wanting to coach people, we can help you set that up and walk you through it. Yeah.
What do you find most of the coaches that you guys work with struggle with? And where do you kind of help them close the biggest gaps?
I'd say twofold. So newer coaches, of course, the entire process is confusing. There's a lot of pieces. So newer coaches, it's really the strategy and kind of hand holding and just overall, here's how it's done. Here's the best strategy. Of course, they're looking for members in their master classes or end up final high ticket sales. Um, so they're looking for, of course, more new people into their funnels and then sales. Your more experienced coaches, of course, they're wanting their sales and all that, of course, but they're looking for how can I scale? So they're looking for what what automations can you put in place so I don't have to sit here and send these emails 3 times a week or whatever it is. They want more time to work on the deliverables rather than everything that you need. So they want to talk to their clients, they want to create those relationships, they don't want to mess with all the background stuff. So how can we make that simpler and more efficient?
Okay. And so those people will work with you on, hey, I have a offer. I want to do an ad campaign on social. Can you help me build the campaign, implement the campaign, execute the campaign? And that's a big way a lot of these coaches are building out the revenue, right?
It is, and most coaches, yeah, it's your maybe a landing page or a funnel. Make sure that's right. Email collection, emails going out in the background. Yeah, it's just really setting it up for um, um, them to get in front of these people, and present their offers. A lot of our coaches are pretty big in the sense that they've been sponsored on a lot of your kind of high network TV shows and those type of things. So it helps being able to add any kind of recognition to their landing pages and whatnot. But yeah, um, we we definitely have higher than normal um, metrics for our meta ads, and that's due to my wife. So really mastered that subject.
Um, do you find that a lot of the coaches that you work with have a bigger opportunity for growth around branding of their business and their personal brand, or is it around the advertising side? Like, is there a bigger growth opportunity for the average person?
Definitely. And you have different coaches right now. A lot of coaches that we deal with are big and flashy, and brand comes into a lot of that, even from the depth of your landing page or your web page or so yes, definitely in terms of branding yourself, I think that's huge for a coach because there's so many out there. Why am I going to choose you over the next person down the line, right? And that's where
Right.
that brand authenticity and what makes you stand out. So yes, definitely.
I asked that question because, obviously a lot of what I do is I do some coaching. I do more business-based coaching than I do individual-based coaching. I would love to do more individual coaching. It's just something I have a passion for. Like, even if it wasn't a part of my business model, I actually have a free school community where I teach people how to become SDRs. I let people get into the training program for free. I don't charge anything for it any longer. I have a AE program as well. So people who want to learn how to do sales can go and watch my training programs for free. I'm not trying to monetize it in any way. I put out all of my content for free on YouTube as well in that regards. Because I genuinely like to just help people learn how to do sales. My first business idea, Jeremy, I had was I actually created a sales academy where the original idea is I saw so many of these young kids coming out of high school and college that just didn't know what they were going to do with the rest of their life and their career, and said, you always hear of these trades that are out there. You hear people like can go be plumbers or electricians and all these things. And I never understood why people don't talk about sales as a trade. And so I figured if I could teach people sales early in their life, early in their career, that is a building block attribute, I think, for anybody's career. When you understand and know how to do sales, it's something that can translate to every type of business you do. So I basically offer training programs. I charge $500 to young students to do that at first, and it was less about me making money on it, more to just make sure people took it seriously. And the commitment I gave is that when I helped you find a job and I helped the company hire you, that I would actually refund you the money and I would recoup that cost from the company, and that's where I would make the money. That's quickly how I transitioned into doing the consulting at the way I did, because a lot of these companies ultimately ended up wanting to hire me to serve with them in a bigger picture aspect. So it ended up solving a bigger picture need. I was still able to help young sellers get the job of the first job of their career, but I was also able to help these companies acquire trained, talented people. I did all of that organically, but over the past year, I did take a training program and I did hire a coach to teach me how to do the advertising side as well. But I would tell you, from what I've seen, most of these people that do the ads don't do a good enough job of branding themselves first. And so they spend a lot of money on ads to get a bunch of leads in, but they don't have a core foundational aspect to build on. And for me, the biggest turn in my outcome was doing this exact thing, having a long-form podcast with long-form content so my clients, my customers could actually get to know me, not just my sales pitch. And that created much more credibility and justified value for when I did have a sales pitch and an offer. It put a real life person behind that. What are your thoughts as I go through that story? Like, where do you see other people making similar mistakes?
Yeah, I think to start with, and I think it's funny you said that. So we actually started on Facebook, a free community. We don't really pitch, we don't sell in it. It's just small business secrets to success is the name of it. And it's literally small business tips, entrepreneurial tips for business owners, aspiring business owners. We just started events. We have speakers a couple times a month, community meets, just fun stuff to kind of get everybody involved and talking and networking and learning and those type of things. And that does the same thing. That kind of builds your brand. It shows people who you are, and then when they are ready to buy, of course, there's somebody right in front of them that's kind of been there the whole time, So that's what we use our group for. It's actually a fun thing for me to interact in and do. I would say the mistakes that you say people make. You talk about running ads. That's kind of where our growth partnership comes in, and that's built on four pillars really, and the first one is kind of the clarity and just you, right? As a person. Then you've got your marketing, your sales, your operations, and all that other stuff. But really, we hit hard on the alignment piece first, and that means, okay, you want to run ads, but do you have all these necessary pieces in place that are going to make them the most efficient? And that could be anything from having a Metapixel installed on their landing page, right? Because for anybody on here that doesn't know, Metapixel is something put on your website. It's free to do. You can do it yourself. A lot of people pay to do it, but it captures demographics from people that are coming to your website or your landing page. And then when you do run ads, you've already got a warmer target market to start with. So little simple things like that, Google business profiles, whatever it is, to set yourself up in the background as that professional, and really make sure your ads are going to the right place. A second thing that we definitely do for people, and that what makes us stand out, is we just don't start meta ads and go, right? Marketing, yes, it's all about testing, but we do more or less sprint testing before we start full campaigns, and it's very inexpensive. It doesn't take long at all, and really we can pull out the pain points and the messaging points in probably 2 or 3 days for a couple $100 that are going to resonate the most with their target audience, and then we build ads around that. So we have a step before running ads that are going to really show us the words and the phrases and whatever that's going to draw the people that they're looking for. So definitely.
Now, when we're recording this, it's not yet 2026. When this episode goes live, it will have been 2026. I know a lot of the clients I talk to, a lot of the guests I have on this podcast, and my own focus is really sitting down. What you can't see is this whole wall for me is this massive whiteboard, and I've just erased a percentage of the stuff, and I have got some whiteboarding going up there for 2026 with my goals, plans, strategy, all of these things. I assume, Jeremy, you and Paulie have also done some planning for 2026. What are some of the big things you're looking to do, accomplish, and goals that you have for the new year?
Yeah, so really 2025 was a big year of growth for us. It made us recognize where some of the gaps are, in terms of areas that if we needed, or to continue to grow, areas we needed to fill the gaps. So we have some big goals for next year, and income goals, of course, but we have some goals of branching out, doing new paid strategies in our marketing. Our marketing gets put last, unfortunately, right now, just because of the deliverables that we have to do for our clients, and our team's fairly small right now, so a lot of it falls into our hands. So next year, we do have a small team, but we're going to expand our team. We're going to have to expand our team to reach our income goals, so we're currently looking for that. And then getting a lot more, part of my responsibility this next year is really getting a lot more involved in our local community, and really going after more of that service-based industry and businesses that need some help. So that's, I guess, three. Paulie's going to stick with the coaches right now, but that's three of our main goals.
What was number one
that we're
again?
shooting
I heard
for.
2 and 3. What was number one? Repeat that one to me.
So we had the income. Of course, we had. I don't know if that was number one or not.
Yeah, you had expand the team, and then find a new industry, maybe a service-based industry. So number
Yes.
one was
Yeah.
with the increased revenue.
Increased revenue, filling out our team, and then expanding into a more service-based market and local networking groups.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go one by one. I'm going to go to the expand the team. So let's say you have an unlimited budget, but you need to add only one person to be able to make the biggest impact in 2026. What is the profile of that individual?
Yeah, so that person would be really the right hand to Vita. So Vita Marketing's our agency, and we have some big goals for next year. And really the right hand to Vita. So Vita Marketing's our agency, and really the right hand to Vita. So Vita Marketing's our agency, and we have some big goals for next year. And really the right hand to Vita. So Vita Marketing's our agency, and really the right hand to Vita. So Vita Marketing's our agency, and right now I do the services side, but also do a lot of the back end, all the back end, and the business side of things. But I would say that person would need to be, they need to have some understanding of marketing. They need to be very uh, punctual, detail oriented. It's really, we're looking for someone when Polly perhaps gets sick or isn't able to do something one day, somebody can step in her shoes and say, "Okay, let's go," and
Junior to
that's
Polly.
what we're looking for. Yeah,
Basically, a junior to Polly, a junior version.
exactly.
Now, is there a plan? I mean, this is what I've done within my business, so I assume this is what you're talking about too. Is I have a role that is called a junior executive. And so I've actually got right now currently 4 junior executives. I hire people who have traits that align with what I look for. I develop them to ultimately be somebody. I have a 6 to 12 month development plan for them to move into more of an executive level role within my organization. We also have position based roles. I've got SDRs, I have account executives, I have marketing specialists. I've got a BDC team, and so we have BDC reps. I've got a BDC manager. I have specialists, but a junior executive is somebody that can be a plug and play as the closest version of me where is needed in my business. I think that when you are a CEO, the thing that I heard why somebody like Elon Musk is such an effective CEO is because he doesn't run any particular parts of his business, but he has great leaders in there. And then he goes to where problems are. He engulfs himself in those problems, fixes it, hands it back off, moves to the next project. And that, I believe, is where I am most valuable, not sitting down and owning this part of the business, but to have somebody I've developed to run this part of the business and then going to solve another problem, then developing somebody to solve this part of business, going to develop something else, developing somebody, and you see the point. It sounds like that would be the next role, is trying to create a junior Polly so that maybe there's parts that she can hand that off and then go develop something else in the future. Is that about right?
It is, and a lot of what we like doing the most is more or less the visionary work in the business. So here's long-term strategy. Here's how we get there. But to do that, like you said, we need people that can kind of pick up the baton and keep it off the ground while we're doing that. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Long term, don't know if it'll be 2026, maybe 2027, but we are looking to expand into Mexico. Paulie is from Mexico, so we're looking to have a Vita presence down around Mexico City somewhere, but that's maybe a 2-year goal from here.
Staff in Mexico or clients in Mexico or both?
Clients.
Clients, okay. But you guys house out of North Carolina now, right?
Yes.
And your clients are generally local or they're nationwide?
They're nationwide, really international. So we've got quite a bit in the U.S. We've got quite a bit in Canada, but we've done ads for gyms in Ireland, and we've got a client in Australia right now. So a little bit of everywhere, but mainly centered around U.S. and Canada currently.
Makes total sense. Okay, perfect. How do you obtain new clients right now? How do they generally come to you? Is it mostly word of mouth? Is there some marketing that you use for your clients that you're doing for yourself to get clients? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've been very blessed this year because Polly was a coach before. She has quite a following of coaches. She attended a networking event from a coach that she had when she first started out years ago in Victoria, Canada, back in April. So after she attended that event, and she didn't even want to go, but she went, and that was one of the breaking points. Honestly, not to get too deep in the trenches, but we were running on fumes then, and we were like, "Oh man, we don't even have the money for you to go on this trip," and we were like, "No, you need to go." So she went. Came back, made her connections there, and honestly, that single trip that she didn't want to go on changed the trajectory of the business, because a lot of the women that were there with her at that retreat needed work, and then we started white labeling some projects and then kind of getting more involved there. So most of our clientele this year has come from word of mouth and referral only. We do run some meta ads, but 2026 will be a year where we're starting to dive into our own social media a little bit more, those type of things. But so far it's been referral based.
Makes total sense. Do you think that the outcome of that trip was just everything happens for a reason? Or did she go into that trip knowing this was kind of like a last ditch effort to make the most out of it, and just went in there with a different intensity to get the most out of the trip? Or was it just right time, right place, everything happens for a reason, this was the process that was going to happen regardless?
No, I think it was a little bit of both. Because she definitely didn't want to go. She's not someone that really wants to travel by herself too much. Sure. Didn't want to go at all. And then we looked at the finances and we're like, man, what in the world? It's going to have to fly you across the country and then stay here, and it's not cheap to stay. So we did it. But I think by going and knowing, hey, I'm going on this trip, we really don't have the funds. I really don't want to go, but something needs to come out of this. And that the notes she took, the relationships that she made, she knew that it had to result in something, and definitely followed up and kept those relationships going. So yeah, a little bit of both there.
I think it's interesting. I mean, so often those are the things that do it. So often those I'm not expecting it times is when it happens. And, you know, so I teach people, and I was just having a training call with one of my newer sales rep yesterday, and I teach a concept of law of averages to my sales reps. And I say on the average day, if you're a cold caller, like in the automotive space where this caller's calling is, you might make 60 to 100 calls a day. And if you're good, you're getting 2 to 3 yeses. But most cases, people will lose their attitude somewhere in the nose, which essentially knocks their glasses off their face, and they can't even see the yeses when they're there because they've lost their attitude. And sometimes just keeping your glasses and your eyes open, no matter how bad it's going, sometimes the opportunity will present itself. It's just a question of, can you see it when it's in front of you? So kudos to you and her into having that opportunity present itself, not look over it, and being able to attack it. And then once the iron gets hot, striking while it's hot, and then taking that iron and making other irons hot, and then building on the momentum. I think there's not enough said in business about the value of building on momentum. And while confidence is high, momentum is strong. That's the time where you've got to work the hardest. So often people wait until they don't have work to do to work the hardest. Now and right after that period is when is the time for you guys to work the hardest. Now, Jeremy, how did your joining the company align timing to when that popped off? Was it around the same time? Was it before that? Was it after that? How did that game-changing period align with you joining?
Yeah, it was. I was already there, but we were so we had some differences in direction. So we agreed overall with the business, but we had differences in opinion on the direction we needed to go. So that was a little tough to kind of get through.
Who won that difference? I'm going to want to ask you who won that argument, but go on.
Well, she won initially for a while, but then we talked about it, and of course we're different, and we're completely different people. She is complete risk taker and jump in and just do it, and I'm the other way around. But I think after she got back from that trip, we started seeing the business come in. Went through this whole kind of crisis on where do I actually fit. Yes, I can do the the books, and yes, I can do this in an organization, but where do I fit? And it was a long time there, and I think that was one of the hardest things for me. I knew where I fit for 20 some years, and now all of a sudden, where do I fit? I want to be involved in this, but where? Yeah, so it took a while to iron that out, but then we said, okay, I do know what I'm doing. I started looking, maybe I can do some business consultancy work because I've done that forever. Um, but then saw, okay, we started seeing in the businesses and the coaches that we had, they have a good offer, good presence, but the back end was so messy and nobody knew where anything was, and it was a mess. So I said, okay, you know what? I can clean that up. I can write SOPs for them. I can help throw some automations in and do some research. So that's when we started saying, okay, let's incorporate the management side, I guess, of our clients into our marketing offer, and that's where that kind of took off and grew from.
Makes sense. It's interesting for me. There was a period in my career, not today, but a period in my career, my wife worked in my business with me. We moved away from that over time. Luckily, I've been able to have it to where, something I'm very proud of is that I am able to provide the ability for my wife to work optionally, not mandatorily. My wife's a realtor. She really enjoys it. She's really good at it, but she doesn't have to do it. If she wants to, she can. She doesn't have to do it. But there was a period early in our marriage, and maybe even before we got married, where I was building a business and she was my recruiter and she was a receptionist and she did all those. And there is a different challenge for husbands and wives to be husbands and wives at work and husbands and wives after work. And so it's always interesting when there is that dynamic of how do you balance the marriage versus the business and being able to maintain the relationship strength that you need. Have you found, Jeremy, and maybe this is too much, and if you need, I can cut this part out, but have you found being in business together has strengthened you guys in your marriage? Has it created some new complications that you guys have had to navigate? How's that process been, being a husband and wife in business together?
No, I definitely think it definitely brings complications, and a lot of those you don't see initially. The thing is, when me and Polly met, we were working together. So we had a little bit of that kind of, okay, we're at work all day and then we go home and we talk about work type of situation.
Yeah.
But we have to be. It can definitely put a strain there, and we've had to kind of learn over time because it's easy, we're both at home, we're both working. There's a little one running around. A lot of times we just grab that laptop when we have a few minutes and dive in and kind of have to stop, or the other one says something or whatever it is. It says, hey, let's put these down for a little bit. Because it's so easy not to leave work now. Before you know it, the week's been gone and you've barely spoken. So I think you have to be more intentional.
I agree. Intentional is the exact word I was thinking. I think the intentional side of it, which is work is over, now we're husband and wife. Let's leave this dynamic here and that dynamic there. And there even creates a bit of a benefit if you're going to a physical office every day and then coming back home. But when you're home, like me, when your home is your office, there is very difficult to create that separation and that distinction. Jeremy, we're kind of at our time now. I've enjoyed getting to know you. I have a feeling that you and I will get to know each other quite a bit more after listening to what you guys are doing with the marketing company. I've got more questions for you, maybe outside of here, of maybe where I can help, where we can connect, because I think there's probably quite a bit I could learn from you guys, and maybe one or two things that I could help you guys with. So I want to have more of a conversation after this because I'm intrigued by you guys' story. I think it's very interesting. It's something I've paid a lot of attention to over the past couple of years in my own journey. So I look forward to getting to know you a little bit more. But for our audience, any final words for them, any final message for them? And just so you know, I'll make sure that I put all of your information and everything that you guys do inside of the profile and the bio so everybody can get in touch with you and your team to be able to help them if they need that help. But what final words do you have for the audience?
Yeah, I would say, I guess, if you aren't happy with what you're doing right now, and maybe it's a 9 to 5, maybe it's a business you're running, but if you're completely not happy, I mean, sometimes you just know, right? And I knew, and I say this because I knew for 5 years I couldn't stand the work I was doing anymore in manufacturing. So deep down, we know we're tired of doing what we're doing, but comfort keeps you there. So I guess my final words, if I would have it to do over again, I would have became an entrepreneur so much younger in my life than when I did. I think now that I did, and I'm older, and I've got more of that kind of worked out to a little bit more maturity on that side. But if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, learn now, start now. It's never too late or too early to start. I'm getting that foundation set, and make sure your foundation set first. It's going to help you a lot in the long run. So I guess that's my final words. But if you got an idea and you want to do it, do it. Life's short. Do it.
Couldn't agree with you more. When I was struggling with this journey, and I struggled with this journey for probably a year and a half before I made the move, Jeremy, and I was stuck with some golden handcuffs, and every time I'd try to leave, they'd entice me with a new title, a new role, a little bit more money, and all those different things. But I went to my father, and he said, you've toyed with the idea of doing this. You're not getting younger, son. If you're going to do it, now's the time for you to do it. And if not, no problem. Don't worry about it. I'll not think less of you for not betting on yourself. But if you're going to do it now. And if not, leave the idea where it is. And the final thing he said to me and ending that conversation is, I want you to know, and you already know this, but you can probably always go back and get the role that's holding you down right now, holding you back from making the move. But you only have a small window of time to bet on yourself before that window closes. Why not give it a shot when you have a little bit of money in the bank? You have a wife who supports your idea. You can always go get that career back. Now's the time, in my opinion, to bet on yourself. And I made that move, and I haven't looked back since. So proud of you, Jeremy, for doing that, not making the easy way and going back to where you've been because it's comfortable. And I think that you've been rewarded for that. So keep it up, man. Congratulations on that. For all of the audience, I would ask, once again, just like, share, comment, engage with the content. Obviously, anything Jeremy can do, reach out to those guys. And it sounds like there'll be a great help for you if you are somebody who needs help with your advertising, if you're a coach, if you're somebody who has a product, if you're somebody who has a solution that needs help on the marketing, branding side and advertising. Sounds like you guys have a great person in Jeremy and his team over there to be able to help you execute that strategy. At worst, have a conversation, see if it helps. Until next time, Jeremy, appreciate your time today, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.